I don't know why, but my eyelid is twitching really badly today. Could it be because of the book that we're talking about today? This weirdly amazing and funny book? Maybe. I don't know. Hello, welcome back to my channel. This week I am swamped by work. So today we are doing something short and sweet. Today we are diving into a unique collection of short stories. One that really made me think and laugh, and even though sometimes it felt a little bit uncomfortable, I still think it's a great book. We have talked about short story collections, multiple short story collections before in this channel. But this one, for me, it left a very different mark. I have read this book at least 4 or 5 years ago, but anytime anyone asks me, have you read anything that's short and complicated and interesting and funny and dazzling in its own way that makes you sink into it? This is the book that I'm thinking about. And you can sort of tell from the title that this would be a very interesting ride, because the book's name is Suddenly a Knock on the Door by Etgar Keret. This book is filled with stories that blend dark humor, surrealism, and a little bit of absurdity. Maybe not a little bit, maybe a large portion of absurdity. If you haven't heard of it, Keret is a Israeli writer known for his quirky, imaginative style, and he was thought as one of the most well-known Israeli writers in the world. Before this book, I think I have never read anything from any Israeli writers, maybe except Harari, but he doesn't write literature. And not to sound like a complete dummy, maybe I am, I'm not familiar with the story, the geographic political structure, the conflicts in this area. The reason I picked up this book was really simple. I was attracted, intrigued to this book by the title. Suddenly a knock on the door? Sounds so tempting. What happened next? Who's by the door? Who is waiting for who here? This book is a collection of short stories that feel a lot like a glimpse into a strange alternative reality, because anything, I literally mean it, anything can happen in these stories. Each story is really short, but it's packed with wit, oddness to make you stop and think. But it was a very enjoyable ride reading this book. I cannot tell if it's mystery or speculative, but they are all very fierce in its own creative way. Just weird. Let's just put it like that. It's weird. There was a story about a goldfish that can talk and it can fulfill your wishes. There was a story about a man who got very used to lying. And one day he met all the lies he has ever told in his whole life. In real life, he met all the lies that he just made up. There was a man trying to escape a feeling of suffocating fear. There was someone knocking the door for you, and you were supposed to meet a guy, but you don't know if the person you are waiting for is the person that's knocking on the door. There was a really bizarre one where a girl found a zipper in her boyfriend's tongue. Unzip it, you find another man living inside of him. And one night, when the boyfriend was asleep, the girl unzipped the guy. Yeah, you heard me right. That's what I said. That's what the story was about. But other than all these weird stories, I really enjoy his writing. His ability to create these worlds that are really absurd, but you can find something that you can relate to, because it was all grounded in human emotions. Some of the stories here are about self-identity, loyalty, betrayal, the options you face choosing in your own life. And one thing that really stands out, I think, in this book is how he plays the idea of fate. Even though these stories are really bizarre, he still makes you think that this randomness, that life is so unpredictable and anything can happen in the next second and everything is so fragile. You cannot hold fate in your own hand. You have to let it slip and face it. I think, and obviously a lot of critics point out, that his background largely shaped his world because both his parents were survivors of the Holocaust, and they were both from Poland. And obviously because where he grew up, he talked about sex, love and death, war and peace, but in a very subtle way. That you get this feeling that he talks about masculinity and the fragile side of human being from a point that is different than any other Western writers that at least I have read about. And sometimes he makes me, this is the most interesting part. Sometimes he makes me feel like he is a scientist who happened to write a book, a fiction, a short story collection about the world in his imagination, not a writer that wrote weird stories. He gave me this feeling that he developed something other than literature, other than writing, that he had a lot of other thinkings about life and the world that we are in, and obviously politics and geographics in outside his books. But you can still feel that he thought about these things, and he subtly put some of his opinions in this book. And this feeling is so unique because frankly I have never felt a way like that in any other writers. He has this special tone that his stories always surprise me, at least. You never thought about how a world he's dragging you into with each short stories. In one of the stories he wrote, I know a man who fantasizes all the time. After reading this book, I totally understand the feeling. It's not just funny haha. It keeps you going, contemplating, what did I just read? But after you finish the book, you turn the page over, you started to feel like, wait, you know what? Maybe this weird world that he put up has some similarity with my own reality, with my own life. And I know we talked a lot about short story collections in this channel before. Some are really sad, some were mysteries, some were classical, and some were murder stories or love stories. I cannot find one book that gives me the same feeling as this book. It's so unique that I think it deserves its own tag. It should be called a book that, if you're trying to dive in the open sea of literature, but you are so scared of being drowned by the classicals, or that you feel reading the famous works might be a burden to you, you should read this book. It's so easy to sink in, it's funny, it's magical, it's fantasy in a real way. When I think about the absolute joy of reading, of finishing a book, of going inside a story and getting sucked into a story, this is the book that I think about all the time. Even though it has been a few years since I've read it, I still remember this story, this book. And to my own surprise as well, that's all for today's video, because I am on a super tight schedule today and tomorrow and the day after. But I have already decided what to do next week, and I guarantee it's super fun because I had tremendous fun in the past weekend reading that book that I wanted to talk about. So see you next week, hopefully, and thank you for watching. I really have to go now. Bye.